Okay, everyone, welcome back. We are live again. Sorry about that. Little bit of a glitch there. But like I said, if you did have notifications turned on, you would be notified of this new live. So let me just do a quick sound check because I might have my other mic. All right, there we go. Just making sure because I might have my microphone I use for my regular recorded videos plugged in. Just want to making sure that had the headphones going. So sorry about that once more. Like I said, if you had notifications turned on from the last live or in general rather, you would know about this new live. So just in case there are any glitches, right? Apple products, Apple computers. Unfortunately, I cannot control it. I wish I could, believe me, but sometimes it just gets. Yep. To you, the video had stopped there. The live kind of just glitched, and that's all the more proof that we were live. So this is not pre-recorded, right? Anything could happen on live. So we're talking about Biden's infrastructure bill, and we'll be talking about him signing into law. We'll be talking about the aftermath. We'll be talking about what the Democrats could envision with this package, and all of the above. But just very quickly, in case anyone is brand new here, hopping on this live, as now it's past 7, at least on the East Coast. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Make sure if you are watching this, and if you are with us live on this replay, or even if you're watching the recording, give this video a tremendous thumbs up, smash the like button. I would appreciate that. Also, make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on, and that's so important, especially with lives, in case this happens. And let us know in the live chat there where you are tuning in from. But we have not gone live in a long time. It's probably been at least a month since we've gone live. But I thought this would be the opportune time to do it with the bill being signed, and it is breaking news. So we'll just dive right in and get started right away. And let's take a look at what is inside this infrastructure bill. So let's go through it once more. President Biden signed the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill into law, and this was a finalization of a key part of his economic agenda. It's a big win for Democrats, big win for the White House, especially with the slumping poll numbers, right? The Democrats are very concerned now with the midterms. And when you look at the numbers, when you look at Biden's numbers, and especially Kamala Harris's numbers, which are absolutely disastrous, they're atrocious to look at Kamala Harris's numbers. The Democrats are raising concerns, and they are worried about that the Republicans could potentially take back control. And this might be evident, right? The Virginia election could be a bellwether, as well as all the local and small elections across the country. They could very well be a bellwether, right, of what's to come, of a red wave potentially. But this is a big win for Democrats, and maybe it can bolster and garner some support for them. And so Democrats are excited, and they are basically ready to start implementing this infrastructure so that way it can touch the people of America and get into the pockets. And so they can start seeing the effects, and maybe that could help them in the elections, whether it's midterms or presidential. If they could provide support to the people, right, and the people that they were elected by, then that could hopefully help them with their elections and regain and maybe even gain back some seats potentially. So we'll be talking about what's inside it. So it will deliver $550 billion of new federal investments in America's infrastructure over 5 years, touching everything from bridges and roads to the nation's broadband, water, and energy systems. Experts say that the money is sorely needed to ensure safe travel, especially with the holidays, as well as the efficient transport of goods and produce across the country. The nation's infrastructure system is not good, and this is the largest investment into infrastructure in over a decade. In fact, the nation's infrastructure system earned a C minus score from the American Society of Civil Engineers earlier this year. That's not a good score if you didn't know. Democrats claim the legislation pays for itself through a multitude of measures and without raising taxes. Right? Democrats and President Biden vowed that taxes will not be raised on people earning less than $400,000. But the CBO, or Congressional Budget Office, brushed aside several of those pay-for provisions, ultimately finding the package would add $256 billion with a B to the deficit over the next 10 years, more money being printed, more spending, more investment from the government, and this probably won't help with inflation. It is significantly smaller, though, than the originally proposed $2.25 trillion bill that Biden had originally unveiled in March, known as the American Jobs Plan. We discussed it on this channel several months ago, almost coming up on the 1 year anniversary of that proposal. And so, right, compromises were made, deals were reached, with not only Republicans but also conservative and moderate Democrats such as Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. They had to compromise. They held up the bill, and so compromises did have to be made with those senators. Hello, Tia. Hello, Robert, coming to us from Massachusetts. Hello, Gail from Pennsylvania. And okay, sounds good. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Let's continue here. The legislation calls for investing $110 billion just into roads, bridges, and major infrastructure projects. That is significantly less, though, again, from the $159 billion that Biden had initially requested in the American Jobs Plan. Not a drastic difference. He still got over $100 billion. I would say that's still a victory for the president. Included is also $40 billion for bridge repair, replacement, and rehabilitation, according to the text of the bill. The White House says that it would be the single largest dedicated bridge investment since the construction of the interstate highway system, which started in the 1950s. Long, long time since we've had this sort of investment. The deal it's also the most expensive, of course, being over $1 trillion. And I think that is even adjusted with inflation, that it's still the largest investment in infrastructure. Definitely the largest investment in climate. Definitely the biggest investment in climate change. That is a fact. The deal also contains $16 billion for major projects that would be too large or complex for traditional funding programs, according to the White House. Some 20% or 173,000 miles of the nation's highways and major roads are in poor condition, as are 45,000 bridges, according to the White House as well. Of course, demanding support for this bill. The investments will focus on climate change mitigation, resilience, equity, and safety for all users, including cyclists and pedestrians. They want to make sure this money is invested into all communities, the poorest communities, as well as communities that are a little bit better off. We want to make sure that we have the finest infrastructure, really, in the world, especially as we are the richest nation on the planet. We should have at least some good infrastructure, good transportation for people. Also in the package is $11 billion for transportation safety, including a program to help states and localities reduce crashes and fatalities, that rhymes, especially of cyclists and pedestrians, according to the White House. It will direct funding for safety efforts, including highways, trucks, and pipeline and hazardous materials. And it contains $1 billion to reconnect communities, mainly disproportionately Black neighborhoods that were divided by highways and other infrastructure, according to the White House. It will fund planning, design, demolition, and reconstruction of street grids, parks, or other infrastructure, so not just building, but also tearing down old infrastructure. Money for transit and rail, President Biden's favorite topic. The package provides $39 billion to modernize public transit, according to the text. That's less than the $85 billion that Biden initially wanted to invest in modernizing transit systems and help them expand to meet rider demand. The funds will repair and upgrade existing infrastructure, make stations accessible to all users, bring transit service to new communities, and modernize rail and bus fleets, including replacing thousands of vehicles with zero-emission models, again, according to the White House. The deal will also invest $66 billion in passenger and freight rail, according to the text. The funds would eliminate Amtrak's maintenance backlog, modernize the Northeast Corridor line, and bring rail service to areas outside the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions, according to the White House. Included in this package is $12 billion also in partnership grants for intercity rail service, including high-speed rail. The funding is less than the $80 billion Biden originally wanted. It would still be the largest investment in public transit in history and in passenger rail since the creation of Amtrak 50 years ago. There's also upgrades to broadband, upgrading airports, ports, and waterways, electric vehicles, improving water and power systems, and environmental remediation. All those topics we can go into in future videos. Just wanted to give you the rundown for now. But how will it be paid for? How is this bill going to be paid for? Well, lawmakers claim that the package pays for itself, but again, it would actually add billions to the deficit, and this goes against what Democrats said that they would not do. The bottom line is that the legislation would directly add roughly $350 billion to the deficit, taking into account the $90 billion of spending in new contract authority, according to experts. Now, lawmakers are leaning heavily on repurposed, unused COVID-19 relief funds to pay for the bill. The CBO found that these measures would provide roughly 22 billion in savings rather than the 263 billion claimed by lawmakers. So we can use some of the funds, but a lot of those funds have dried out and we can't use them all. The text lists savings from rescinding unobligated appropriations for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program for small businesses and nonprofit groups, the PPP, the Education Stabilization Fund, and relief for airline workers, among others. There's also another piece in the text that would essentially, uh, in part, from states opting to terminate the pandemic unemployment benefits early, so they have 53 billion from that in hopes of pushing the jobless return course, and some 24 states did stop that, mostly Republican, as we know, before they ended officially in September. As far as what we also know, savings would come from delaying a controversial Trump administration rule that would radically change how drugs are priced and paid for in Medicare and Medicaid until 2026. So you got some money there. Package also relies on generating 56 billion in economic growth, resulting from a 33% return on investment on the long-term projects. Again, Biden has said the legislation would not raise taxes on people making less than 400,000 a year, and does not include a gas tax increase or fee on electric vehicles. Of course, gas prices are very high, so that could be looked at as a tax in and of itself. He initially called for raising taxes on corporations to fund the infrastructure investments, but that proposal did not make it into the final package after strong opposition from Republicans. There are some things missing in here, right? They had to make compromises. They had to compromise as far as minimum wage and also billions of dollars to modernize the Veterans Affairs hospitals. There's also in the original proposal, Biden's called for raising the corporate income tax rate to 28%, up from the 21% set by Republicans in the 2017 tax cut. Again, deals had to be made here, and compromises had to be reached. Let's take a look now at the live chat there. Hello, Robert. Good to have you still on. Fantastic. So that's what we understand about the bill. It's not everything that Democrats wanted. It's not everything that Republicans wanted. Both parties left unhappy at the deal table. That's how most deals work, and could also be the sign of a bad deal. Now, as far as Republicans are seeking to navigate the delicate inter-party divisions over the new bill, especially with Trump backfiring at Mitch McConnell, right? So there is some infighting going on and some lambasting within the party. McCarthy, though, the House Minority Leader, called on lawmakers to stay unified and not attack their GOP colleagues. This is according to two sources familiar with the meeting. McCarthy suggested that they should focus their fight on Democrats' Build Back Better bill, one of the sources, as opposed to this infrastructure bill that could be more bipartisan and does have more support from the American people. This makes sense. What Trump had originally said, he issued a flurry of statements blasting it as a non-infrastructure bill and complaining that it, quote, gives Biden and the Democrats a victory just as they were falling off the cliff. This is Trump's words. And some of the lawmakers who voted for the bill have received death threats, including Representative Fred Upton, Republican from Michigan. Now, it is politicking, right? Trump's opposition to the bill has largely been about politics, not necessarily about the content of the bill, not the actual meat inside the bill. He argued that it gave Biden the win that he can now tout to voters. And according to Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Alaska, who is a moderate, who Trump is trying to defeat in 2022, responded to his attacks by saying that there has been an unfortunate backlash by some who put politics above good governance. She said in an interview, quote, to deny good policy just because you don't want to give the occupant of the White House a win penalizes the whole country. Republicans who voted for the bill, they pushed back on some of Trump's attacks, though, pointed to his own efforts to strike an infrastructure deal with Congress. So some hypocrisy there. And just basically back and forth within the party, right? Some just infighting. Hello, BMST group. Should we apply for anything? Such as, give me some examples there. You can elaborate a little bit. So there was some infighting within the group. Certainly some backlash and people just going back and forth between moderates and the Republicans that voted for the bill, right? So You also saw on the Democratic side that progressives were upset with the deal and moderates were upset with the deal because they couldn't get everything that they wanted. But ultimately, Democrats and Republicans, for the most part, were able to come together and strike a deal with Biden involved. And for Biden's sake, hopefully this does improve his poll numbers and maybe has a better outlook for his reelection, or at least for the midterms for now. And Democrats probably will be on a victory tour, touting the fact that they passed this bill, as well as Republicans that didn't even vote for this bill. They might even be on a victory tour as well, touting the bill and praising it. This is naturally the cycle that happens. Republicans go against a bill, a piece of legislation, or it could be on both sides, and then they end up praising the bill and saying, "Look what we did for the people. We did this amazing deal." Meantime, they didn't even vote for it. So we'll see what happens. And let's make some predictions now as far as the midterms. Do you think Democrats and Biden's poll numbers will improve, have a better outlook, or do you believe that this will actually only fan the flames and exacerbate the situation because of the rising inflation that will be non-stop unless the Fed steps in with all this federal spending? And now the Democrats, they want to pass another big social safety net bill. That's even more money added to the deficit, right? We don't have any more money left over from COVID. That's the fact that the funds have run dry. All the coffers of money are gone. So we can't really do anything now. Mark says it's a waste of money, mostly. Some of the stuff in there could certainly be looked at as pork. Some of it is vital for the country, and Republicans have equally fought rather, for some of those contents. But it's certainly up to debate and up to opinion. But we will be certainly looking at this further in detail in future videos. We'll do multiple videos on this topic, especially as the Democrats are now going to be debating their social safety net bill and large investment into equality in America. So we will definitely be doing future videos on this topic. Just had to quickly bring this news to you because it is breaking, and Biden finally signed the bill into law after months and months and months of negotiation and nonstop debate. And we covered it on this channel, as you guys know. So if you did enjoy this video, if you did enjoy this live, if you like the live content, as always, let us know down below in the comments or the live chat replay. If you do like the lives or if you like the pre-recorded, we have some people that like both. That's fine with me. I like doing both as well. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button, show your support there. If you want to see more content, make sure you're subscribed. Click that big red button and the notification bell. And if you want to get some free stocks, as always, use the links down below in the description of this video. Sign up with Robinhood and or Webull to get some free stocks, some valued up to thousands of dollars. If you want to connect me on social media, the link is down below to my Instagram, and it's also Logan Cohn, LOGANKOHN. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care for now. Thank you so much.